So that's what's cool about this. So what if we had quilters design mosaics of annual and perennial plantings that are integrated with our urban shelters? And that's what's happening at a place near my house called Avalon Gardens, where the buildings are designed as if food is going to be grown on the walls and in the doorways and in the spaces where the rainwater falls. And vice versa, the plants are selected to enhance the building qualities. Now, the same process are needed for the redesign of food transport and delivery systems. We've just gotten, of all things, a Humanities Council grant to do what we're calling the Taco Diplomacy Food Wagon that will feature foods that are in shared traditions across the U.S.-Mexican border. And as you go up to the little mobile food wagon, you'll see videos of not just the farmers and ranchers who grew the food, but the brokers and the distributors and the truck drivers and the people who peel the vegetables and grill them all the way through. You'll see the whole food chain daylighted right in front of your eyes as you come up and get food from this. Go away. So, what I do as part of these teams is think about the food diversity, that we can't really deal with this uncertainty without drawing on the diversity of foods and approaches and cultural strategies that have accumulated on this continent over the last 4,000 years of agriculture in North America. And yet we need a diversity of approaches to making this food palatable and edible and beautiful and nourishing too, that no food channel chef is going to be able to guide us into all of this diversity. We need just as many people thinking about how to prepare it as how to produce it. And we need to think about protecting, restoring, and enhancing our food sheds, just like every state and county government thinks about our watersheds that way now. Why aren't we doing this for our food system? Why do we have a World Wildlife Fund that works on the conservation of biodiversity, but they kind of ignore food diversity, the diversity of the living world that we're most dependent on? We need hundreds of organizations working on heirloom vegetables and fruits just like they're working on pandas and condors and eagles and polar bears. So with those outrageous demands and radical recommendations and I suppose a few condemnations, I'm going to leave you with a prayer. Know where your food comes from through knowing those who produced it for you, from farmer to forager, rancher or fisher, to earthworms building a deeper, richer soil, to the heirloom vegetable, the nitrogen-fixing legume, the pollinator, the heritage breed of livestock, the sourdough culture rising in your flour. Know where your food comes from by the very way that it tastes, its freshness telling you how far it may have traveled, the hint of mint in the cheese suggesting what the goat has eaten, the terroir of the wine reminding you of the lime in the stone that you stand upon so that you can stand up for the land that has given it to you. Know where your food comes from by the richness of stories told around the table, recalling all that was harvested nearby during the years that came before you when your predecessors and ancestors roamed the very same woods and neighborhoods where you and yours now roam. Know them by the songs sung to praise them, by the handmade tools kept to harvest them, by the rites and the feasts held to celebrate them, by the laughter let loose to show them our affection. Know where your food comes from by the patience displayed while putting them up, while peeling, skinning, coring, or gutting them, while canning, salting, or smoking them, while arranging them on the plate for our eyes to behold. Know where your food comes from by the slow savoring of each and every morsel, by letting their fragrances lodge in your memory, reminding you of just exactly where you were the very day that you first became blessed by each of their distinctive flavors. Now, when you know where your food comes from, you can give something back to those lands and waters, that rural culture, that migrant harvester, curer, smoker, poacher, or vintner. You can give something back to that soil, something fecund and fleeting like compost, or something lasting and legal like protection. We as humans have not been given roots as obvious as those of plants. The surest way that we have to lodge ourselves within this blessed earth is by knowing where our food has come from. Thank you very much. Some questions, I guess, and then we'll go back out and have some one-on-ones. Yes? Well, the model that I am hoping that may work is something like the watershed councils that many places in the Northwest have already developed for restoration of the streams, for making sure that there's less soil loss and pollution of the streams, for rational management so that farmers and ranchers and other people get water during times of drought. And so we need an office of the food shed in every county. We need food policy councils. We've just started one in Pima County that I participate in Arizona. And it's the most heartening and heartbreaking gathering that I've ever been in. The first time there were 3 ranchers who have never been invited, to a meeting in an urban setting to talk about the connection. They do a lot of talking about their good ranching practices, but the city was basically saying, we need to design our food system to take your values and needs into account. And that had never happened before. There was a woman who was homeless, who basically house sits, not even houses, but stables for people that are on vacation. She travels around the Southwest with a donkey and 6 ducks, trying to find places to stay where she can keep her animals with her. She's lost her family, and these animals are her family. And she was there to represent the homeless in redesigning the food system. She found out about the meeting on a bulletin board. And once you start this, even if it's 6 people in the room the first time, it will grow. Yes. I always remember Wallace Stegner's line about people moving from the east to the west need to get over their color of green. That if they expect their yard to look green all the time like it does back in Maryland, they may be asking the wrong thing. So if we want strawberries year-round in Portland or Tucson, we're probably asking too much of our food system. But boy, do we need canners and smokers and all of that. And canning classes are going through a revival. I mean, I set up a whole canning kitchen that I use as a seed germination place in the spring, then break it all down and have all these weird blenders and cores and cure my olives and do all my fermented foods in there. And so that is a great way to reduce carbon footprints. We can recycle the glass. We boil water. What else do we do? I mean, we're letting the foods last year-round rather than expecting them to come to us from Chile. I think that's a pretty good trade-off.